morning, everybody. It's Jenny Smith here again. I'm here with my husband.
Hi, I'm Jared.
To teach you how to become a Gospel Library Ninja in 30 minutes or less. This is going to be a really fun demonstration that will help you even if you are an experienced Gospel Library user like Jared, or if you're a newbie. You will be able to use the tools for teaching, or one might even say for fighting back Satan. You're going to learn how to wield your device like a ninja. Yes, how you hold your phone or tablet matters. How to use the study helps like a ninja, how to search like a ninja, which will include a demonstration on how to tweak your app to help you find insights from women in your lessons and thoughts, plus how to tag and take notes like a ninja. Plus, I'm going to include a short introduction to the LDS Scripture Citation Index and show you how you can use that in your classes to help students prepare meaningful devotionals and to answer their very strangest questions. All right. You ready?
I'm ready. Let's do this.
All right, Jared is going to be working on my iPhone, and I'll be working on my old and very slow Android tablet so that you can see how these ninja skills work on both iOS and Android OS. It used to be that Android and iOS were very different. For a long time, Android had a superior search, but now, of course, but now the devices are almost the same. The main difference now is the menu locations. All right, so let's put on our ninja gear. I'm a ninja. Jared is not yet a ninja. And we're going to get started. Okay, so as I've mentioned, it really does actually matter how you hold your device when using the Gospel Library app. And I'm about to teach you why. So let's both pull up a chapter of Scripture from the Book of Mormon, or Doctrine and Covenants. So if you're going along at home, I hope that you'll follow us while we're doing this. Again, Jared has iPhone over on that side, and I have Android tablet over on this side. And one of the main differences you're going to see is how things are laid out on the difference between a tablet, which has a bigger screen, and a phone, which has a much smaller screen. All right, so any scripture, let's do it. We'll race. I'm winning.
There.
So the tablet is a little slow. All right, now let's pick any footnote from these scripture references, all right? I'm going to click on 11a from here in Doctrine and Covenants. All right, so you can see that it pulls out a little menu from the side that shows you that scripture reference, and now it even pulls up all of the text from each scripture reference. This is a new addition to Gospel Library. Now, this is really cool. Most of you already know how to do this. Now, let me teach you some ninja tricks, all right? In the tablet mode, up in the upper right-hand side, you can see it up on the top right-hand side of my screen. There's a little dot and some lines. It looks like an outline. And in Jared's camera screen or phone screen, it doesn't show up there. It's back behind on the chapter screen. See that little icon that has dots and lines? Let's both click on it.
Already there.
Oh, you already beat me. All right, so what this pulls up is a list of all of the footnotes that are present in the scriptures. And you can scroll those up and down. They're like a separate window.
You can also see that there's links to church videos as well.
Super cool, right? That's all new too. If there's scriptures, if you have your own notes, here you can see that in mine I've actually copied and pasted something from a lesson manual into my text about the lost 116 pages.
Here you've got a note about journaling.
Yeah, tag that one, right? There's lots of different information that you'll be able to see right here in this scripture scrolling thing. But now let me teach you the ninja move. All right, so at this point, we're both going to take our phones or tablets, right, and rotate them to landscape or, the landscape mode, horizontal mode. You can see what has just happened, all right? Now what's happened is this footnote menu.
Related content.
Related content screen. I guess I could read the name of it, right? The related content screen is now over there on the right-hand side for both the phone and the tablet views. And as you scroll up and down in your scriptures, the related content follows along. Now, why is this a ninja move, and why is it important for teachers to know how to do this? Well, let's take a second and go look at a scripture that's in the New Testament. I'm going to look at Luke chapter 2. Jared, if you want to do that too.
Sure.
We'll look at Luke chapter 2.
Beat you.
Yeah, you beat me. All right, so if you look over here on the right-hand side in the related content menu, you can see right away in verse 1 that there's a JST insertion here. I can't tell you how many times I've been in a class where the teacher was not looking at the footnotes and taught the King James translation when we have a Joseph Smith translation version to use during class. If you will hold your device like a ninja, there we go, in landscape orientation, you are able to see the footnotes right alongside the scriptures as you scroll, which means you will have access to the best study tools all the time. It's a lot harder to overlook them. Now, this becomes even more interesting when you use a device with a small screen with the study helps. Jared, will you turn your device to non-ninja mode and please go take a look at the Harmony of the Gospels? Tell us a little bit about what you're saying.
Sure. So I'm going to go back to the beginning of the library here. I'm going to go to the scriptures. I'm going to go to the study helps and you want the Harmony of the Gospels, right?
Yes. You know what? Are we recording audio? We are, right?
Yes.
Okay, just checking. Oh, I see it there. Yeah, all right.
Okay, let me do that again. So you cut that out. Okay, so I'm going to the beginning of the scripture library, going to scriptures, study helps, and Harmony of the Gospels. And I'll just go on the first portion there. Now, as you can tell, it's not very easy to tell what's going on. You've got these weird lines and weird indentations, and it doesn't make a lot of sense, right? But if we put this in portrait mode, in landscape mode, now we can see that that's really a chart, and it's much easier to see that chart and understand the information that's in there when we turn our phone to ninja mode.
Fantastic. All right, so this is really important to know, and it's important to be able to teach your students how to use ninja mode on their phones so that they can read and access study tools more effectively. All right, so let's now talk about, one more thing.
Yeah, can I just point out that sometimes you'll rotate your phone and it won't, the screen won't automatically rotate into the other orientation. So let's talk a minute about how to do that. On iOS, here, let's put these both here.
Yeah.
On iOS, you slide down from the top, and there's a little icon here to whether to lock your orientation or not. In this case, I'm going to unlock it. Make sure that you see the little lock there in your screen orientation. That means when I rotate my screen, it will rotate on the screen properly.
There we go.
Jenny will show you how to do it on Android.
Oh, you're going to pull it all the way from this Android. It's pull it all the way down from the top and tap the auto rotate button, right? This is locking it in portrait mode. You can also lock it in ninja mode, right? When you click the auto rotate button, it'll lock into landscape mode, which we're calling here ninja mode. All righty. Let's do it. In fact, I'm going to leave my device in ninja mode.
Let's do it in ninja mode.
We're both ninjas. All right, so let's learn how to search like a ninja. Now, let's imagine a scenario. Like, say I'm trying to remember where that scripture is that talks about my work and my glory or whatever, right? How might I look that up, Jared?
Well, we know that there's a search button here in the Gospel Library app, so I'm assuming let's click on that first.
So notice on the phone, in iOS it's at the bottom, in Android it's at the tippy top, right?
Yep. So maybe we want to start by just picking out some of the words like glory, if I can spell this correctly. Glory. Sorry, iOS keyboards and my fat fingers don't go all together all the time.
I still didn't win. Still it took me long.
Now here you can see along the top it tells you how many matches there are. There's 868 matches in the scriptures. I've got some matches in general conference, some notes, some handouts, magazines. Whatever content you have downloaded to your phone here, it will search that. And now if you look at this closely, you'll see that I have a different number of results than she does on her tablet. She doesn't have the general conference talks downloaded on her tablet. Hence the reason you see the little 0 up there next to general conference in hers, where I have 77 matches right here in general conference. I can click on that general conference tab at the top and show just the matches there in general conference.
Very cool. And now you can also limit by speaker, which is kind of cool too. But all right, so back to the scripture. All right. So I kind of know that this scripture is not found in the Bible. So what can I do to limit my results, Jared?
Okay, so let's click on the Scriptures tab at the top, since we're looking for this particular scripture in the Scriptures, not in a conference talk or something like that. But it lists the books of Scripture up there at the top, and we can click on those to limit to just those. So if we want to look in just the Book of Mormon, the Doctrine and Covenants, the Pearl of Great Price, we'll click on those 3 books, and then it will narrow down our search to just those 3 books that we've selected.
All right, well, there's still a lot of results here, Jared. Is there any ninja trick that can show me how to limit these even further?
I think one of the best ninja tricks is to be more specific with the text that you're looking for. Like if you know several words that go together and appear in a particular order, you can put double quotes around those to be more specific. So let's instead of just searching for the word glory, let's put double quotes around work and glory, work and my glory, or and my glory. Let's just do and my glory, because that's I'm sure how that appears in that scripture, right?
Yes.
I can't type, sorry.
I'm just going to show you, by the way. Do you see that I got no results for that search? There's a bug in this Android version. I don't know if it's because of my old tablet, but sometimes it shows 0 results when there actually are results. So just rerun your search. If you get 0 results the first time, try again. Just see if it's an Android error.
Okay, so I'm just going to switch over just to the phone for a second here so you can see it a little more closely. Now you see that there's 21 matches in the scriptures, which is much better than the 600 or 700 we had before. And again, we're going to limit this to Book of Mormon, Doctrine and Covenants, Pearl of Great Price, and you can see anywhere "and my glory" appears all together. We can find that, and what do you know? There's the one we're looking for. It was Moses chapter 1, verse 38. And if we click on that, it's going to take us right to that section, right to that verse that we were looking for.
Perfect. Now, an important fact about the Gospel Library is that it only searches the books and the documents that are actually downloaded to your device. Gospel Library now comes preloaded with scriptures and study helps, but General Conference, lesson manuals, the church handbook instructions are not automatically included. You have to download those yourself in order for them to be included in your search results.
And since the church is always adding new material, it's useful to go download that new material from time to time so that it'll show up in your searches.
All right, now, if you're like me, you're always looking for ways to get women's voices into your classes. Now, the problem is that you often need to go make a separate search in order to be able to find women's quotes, and it's kind of awkward. Now, I'm going to take a second to show you how to include more women's voices in your Gospel Library searches. So first, go to the front page of Gospel Library, just like you're seeing here. Then scroll down to Restoration and Church History. It's this one that shows a picture of the Nauvoo Temple. Click on that. Now you'll see a list of church history topics. The one that we're interested in is women's history. So let's click on that. What you want to do here is download Women at the Pulpit, which is a collection of women's sermons that goes all the way back to Lucy Mack Smith, the mother of the prophet Joseph Smith. So click on At the Pulpit to download it, and click on Daughters of My Kingdom to download that. Both of those are full of women's experiences and women's voices exclusively, so that when you are doing a search on a topic, you will have women's sermons and women's voices showing up in your search results. This is a great way to include more women's voices in your library, in your lessons, and in your talks. All right.
Very good. How about you show us how we can tag different scriptures or different results like a ninja?
All right. Well, real gospel ninjas do use tags. Now, it's pretty obvious that you might want to use tags for something topical like prayer or faith or whatever. But I'd like you to think a little bit outside the box with your tagging. Now, if you are out at the very front of your scripture library app and you wanted to go look at tags, you do that by starting at the front, clicking on the little icon that says Notes, that has a notebook. And then you've got 3 tabs here at the top that's for study notebooks, for tags, and then for everything, which includes all of your hand-typed notes as well. Now, let's say, when I say think out of the box with your tags, I'd like you to look at some of the tags that I have here. You can sort them by most recent, you can sort them by tag, you can sort them alphabetically, lots of different ways. I'm going to sort them by count so you can kind of see which ones are important to me. I've added a tag here for leadership. A subject that I've been studying about is the nature of God. You can see prayer is one that's important to me, faith, I have a whole section here called What to Teach Your Children, right? And I have 50, it hasn't helped, I don't know, but I have 53 scriptures here that are references that I have found that help me understand what I should be teaching our children. And so when I want to study up on that particular topic, I just click on that tag and it lists all of the scriptures that I, Jenny Smith, have tagged with that information. Other stuff that I've got in here, I've got trials, I've got the blessings of obedience, I've got journaling, right, which is something I'm still working on learning to do. I've got the importance of good friends, the gift of prophecy, law of witnesses, suffering. When you want to study a little bit about those topics, you have a ready-made study guide right here in your tags, and it's ever growing. All right, Jared, how about you talk to us about how to take notes like a ninja? I'll just pass you this tablet so it's a little easier for you to do.
Okay. All right. So let's say that I've got a talk that I'm reading, and let's just out here in my browser. I'll switch over here to Chrome, and I've got this the speech by Bonnie Cordon, and maybe there's a paragraph in here that really struck me, and I want to copy and paste that into a note in my Gospel Library app. So what I'll do is here in my browser, I'm just going to select this paragraph, select the whole paragraph, say copy, and then I'm going to switch into the Gospel Library app. Maybe we're going to put this on a particular scripture. Jenny, what do you think? Where should we put this?
I always like, when I'm talking about prayer, I always like to put cross-references and notes on that scripture in Doctrine and Covenants chapter 10, section 10, verse 5. Pray always.
All right, so we're pulling up Doctrine and Covenants 10. We find verse 5, and I'm just going to highlight the word pray here. Now, if I clicked on note here, that would add a new note that linked specifically to that word pray in that verse. You see the little, what looks like a stack of Post-it notes over to the right-hand side of the verse. That lets me know that that's got notes on that verse. You see the verse below, it's got a little, what looks like two pieces of a chain linked together. That means it's got a link on that. But this one has a note. So we can click on that little note icon, that little stack of Post-it notes, and that's going to show me the note here and anything that's linked from that note. But if we want to edit that existing note, click on the three little dots for the menu, and then say Edit Note. And that will bring up the note. We can give the note a title, but in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and paste what I had in my clipboard from my browser there. But and since I'm a ninja, I'm not just going to paste this text in there, not give a source, not say, hey, where did it come from, so that I can find it again, because you know how things are on the internet. Sometimes links change, sometimes things go out of date. So let's put a proper source on here. So I'm going to go back here and I'm going to grab the title of this. Again, I'm just going to select that in my browser, select the whole title. I'm going to copy that. I'll come back to my note here in the Gospel Library app, and I know that this was written by Bonnie Cordon, so I'm going to put that in there. You guys get to see how great I am at typing on a tablet. Oops, typo, Cordon. It was February of 2020. And I'll paste the title of the talk, and then I want to copy the URL as well, just in case I want to go back and reference that easily. So I'll go back to my browser. I'm just going to copy the URL, push the little copy button there to copy that to my clipboard. Come back to my note and paste that in there. And then we can save the note by clicking on the little checkbox at the top.
So another cool trick works with handouts that you receive or pass out during class. So one of the things a ninja teacher can do is teach kids how to read a handout or quote and have it dictated into the notes so that students don't have to write it out. So let's imagine that I'm the teacher and I've given Jared a handout that has something excellent on it that he would like to record in his notes.
So I'm going to go back in here and edit my note again. And I'll scroll down to the bottom of my note, make a little extra space here. And one of the things I can do is use kind of the dictate feature of the tablet to read this note out loud and have it convert it to text and put it in my note. So you see the little microphone icon there above my keyboard. I'm going to click on that. Now I'm going to read out what was on that handout, and the tablet will automatically turn that into text as best it can.
Period.
And there you go.
One of us might be a grammar Nazi.
That's an easy way to get notes into there without having to spend a lot of time typing on your phone or on your tablet.
Thanks for that. Another thing that I do is I put notes in my scriptures when a teacher or a student says something that's important or meaningful to me. And I include the student's name or the teacher's name. Now, one way to also include this dictate function when you're teaching during class is to have a student who has made a deep observation repeat that comment into your device. And if the comment is particularly insightful, everybody in the class can hold up their devices to that student and record the important insight that student has offered. So it's so amazing, right? This is a great way to reinforce what students are saying. It tells them that you think what they're saying is important and valuable, and it encourages them to make more remarks of that kind. All right, so now Jared finally knows how to be a gospel library ninja. And so he can go out and teach others how to do the same. Now, I promised a demonstration of another tool, which is the LDS Scripture Citation Index. It is not as commonly known, but it is a screaming awesome tool that you ninja teachers are going to love. It is a super cool reverse scripture lookup, and it's available as an app for your phone that's free, or it's available online at the web at scriptures.byu.edu. So let's take a minute and go look at that. Let's do this. We're going to do this in portrait mode. All right, I have the app downloaded on my tablet, so I'm going to go ahead and pull that up. The app icon looks like this little round thing down here with the scripture reference. It's a little bit 1996. All right. But here's what the front cover of the Scripture Citation Index app looks like. And Jared has
I've just got the website pulled up in my browser.
Yeah, it's not showing the mobile version for him for some reason, but that's all right. You get an idea of what the Scripture Citation Index looks like if you were looking at it on a computer. So what you're seeing on Jared's, it's on the left-hand side. On mine, it's just a list of all the books of Scripture in each of the standard works of the Scriptures. And if you click on a chapter, for example, I'm clicking on John, you can see a list of all the chapters that are in John, along with a little number. And that number shows you how many times that scripture or that chapter has been referenced in General Conference or in Journal of Discourses or in Teachings of the Prophet Joseph Smith, or teachings of the scriptural teachings of the Prophet Joseph Smith. So for example, let's say that I was interested in something in John chapter 20. I can look here and then click on, say, John 20 verse 2, and that has been referenced 5 times in different talks, going all the way back here to Orson Pratt in Journal of Discourses down here at the bottom. And if I want to read that text, it's included in the LDS Scripture Citation Index, along with these handy dandy bookmarks that scroll you directly to the text that references that scripture. Super amazing.
Wow.
Yeah, it's super, super fantastic. Now, how do you think you could use this in teaching Gospel Library Ninja, Jared?
Well, obviously, if you have a particular scripture that you're going to be covering, it would be helpful to go and look up and say, hey, what have other prophets and leaders taught us about that particular scripture, and be able to reference back to their conference talks, their writings.
Mm-hmm. Sure, fantastic. What about when an obscure question comes up in class, right?
Well, maybe that obscure question has been covered in one of these talks.
Exactly. So an easy way you can teach students how to look up answers to their questions is to teach them to download the Scripture Citation Index or use the web version and look up a scripture and find up information. Now, I always had students write doctrinal mastery devotionals during class. If you assigned a doctrinal mastery passage to a student, that student could go look up the verse in the LDS Scripture Citation Index, find every reference to that scripture by a general authority, and then study those talks for deeper information or for a more effective study of that scripture reference. This is a super, super important tool for looking up talks by scripture reference that too few people know about in the church.
It's a secret weapon.
Secret weapon. All right, now let me spend a little bit of time talking to those teachers who are reluctant to use electronic scriptures in their classes. Now, electronic scriptures aren't going away. These devices are almost always with students. They'll be taking them in their pockets or in their purses, in their backpacks at school. They'll be taking them on their missions. So don't hobble these young people by not teaching them how to use the Gospel Library app like a ninja. It is so amazing that these students, unlike us old fuddy-duddies, can have their entire lifetime of Gospel Library study notes and references in the palm of their hand, available at any time.
And automatically backed up. So if you lose your device, or if you
That's right.
change devices, or things happen in the future, or it's not suddenly become obsolete or lost.
He's saying that because I lost my scripture shortly while we were dating, and it was a catastrophe. We just talking about catastrophe. I lost all of my seminary notes, everything. All right, so after watching this video, you too are now a Gospel Library Ninja, and you can teach your students to automatically turn to the Gospel Library app or to the LDS Scripture Citation Index as opposed to Google or Reddit to find answers when they have a question. They can turn to the best tools and sources for information, but only if we know how to use them ourselves and if we take the time to teach it. Please comment below if you have questions or if you have ninja tips to share. We'd love to hear from you.
Thank you.
Thanks.